has to come back after the recording session. So, oh, but Izzat is still here. Okay, tak tahulah Google Meet ni. So, anyways, let's start with a few announcements first. Firstly, I want to talk about a conference that's going on the 1st of April, which is on Wednesday, today, right? Oh, that's next week. So next week. So the RISM, wait, let me show you the screen. I've asked Faitmal to help me remind me. Okay. Thanks, Faitmal. Let's hope I won't vomit. But wait, hold on. Okay. I hope you guys are well. I think because everybody is out again now, so everybody's not been feeling well. So, but I'm sure it's just some kind of bugs. Okay, hold on, it's uploading. So basically, this conference next week is happening online, and I've asked Dr. Yasmin if I could take her time as well during class, because since it's on a Wednesday and it's a half day conference, which is from 9. Are you seeing the new normal on your screen? On your screen? On your screen?
Yes.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, all right. So basically, this 13th International Surveying Conference for Undergraduates, or RISM SCU, is an annual event, and we have sent 3 of your friends to the conference where they would submit their video and submit a full paper. Previously it was like from RICS. So RICS is the International Chartered Surveyors Institution, then RISM is the Malaysian Royal Institution of Surveyors. And normally, with prior to the pandemic, we will have this physically at the hosting university, and some of your seniors have had that privilege of going to all these universities and participated as well. Okay, they presented live, face to face, but due to the current pandemic, unfortunately, that can't happen. So your 3 friends who have submitted their full paper and video is Fazliana, Wani, as well as as well as
Siuting.
Siuting. Allah, Siuting. Dalam kepala I tak tahu kenapa Ching, but Ching is your junior kan, and Siuting, okay, which they have submitted their full papers, etc., at this conference. So this year, since it's online, we have asked the department, we as in the committee, I'm in the committee itself, I've asked the department whether can I send everyone to participate in the conference on 1st April, since it's online. But unfortunately, because it's on Wednesday, and it's a half day event, so you have 2 classes in the morning, right? You have BIE 3003 and 3006,
Doctor.
right? Yeah.
Sorry, I think 1 April on Thursday.
Are you sure? It's on Thursday?
I think so.
Very sure it's Thursday.
Oh, yelah. Why nobody corrected me? Oh.
But
Kelas pagi tu? What is the class in the morning?
Kelas doktor je ada.
Oh, ya ke? Which means you have no class in the morning ke?
no.
No.
Okay. Oh my god, I wrote Wednesday. Thank you, Faz and Fatima, is it? Okay. Okay, sorry. So it's on Thursday, means you have no class, which is even better. Okay, so you can go to this. And since there's only my class on that day, we're just going to assume that as your tutorial in the evening as well. Okay, so your tutorial is to go to this conference, okay? Which is on Thursday. Oh my god. Okay. I should sleep, but sekejap. Let me go through this with you guys first. Okay. So on the 15th, it's going to be online. It's at 8 a.m. until 1. Okay. Um, so the conference theme is the new normal impact of COVID-19 crisis in the construction industry. And it's hosted by Taylor's University. Okay, if there's no pandemic, we would have been in Taylor's now, but unfortunately, that's not happening. So you guys are just going to see this live. And and speaking of which, I've asked the department whether I can send all of you guys, and the department agreed. So everyone from your batch, okay, including Chua and also Adiba, can join. Okay, this conference. It's actually 10 ringgit. Let me see. It's 10 ringgit, and you don't have to pay this 10 ringgit. The department will pay it for you. But what I need is that you guys need to register here, the registration link, okay, which I will click later. But I'll forward this also on WhatsApp group, or maybe Faikma, can you forward the one that I forwarded to you yesterday to the group?
Already.
Oh, you already. Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so basically, 1st of April is conference day for everybody. Okay, so you have all this. Oh, and then this is the presentation awards for best paper and best presenters. This is, among your 3 friends also, and we also have 3 presenters from QS and also BS and UM. Okay. So the conference ends at 1. So these are all participating universities. So when you click on the registration link, are you guys seeing the webinar registration?
Yeah.
Or are you still seeing the brochure? You're
Uh,
seeing the web.
Yeah, the registration.
Okay. What I need you guys to do is that I want you to register. You put your name. Make sure you put organization, Department of Real Estate. Okay, Department of Real Estate. And then you put University Melayu. The reason why is that we need to find out if you are from real estate, then we will pay for you. Okay, so don't put University Melayu only, because it will be difficult for us to find out. Okay, so this one is there's no division is PS. Okay, we are in the PS division, which is property surveying. Okay, and then you just register. So make sure you put your name, okay, first name, last name, your email address, and you confirm your email address, your phone number, job title, just write student, okay. But this is very important, okay. Make sure you write Department of Real Estate, so that I can also know how many of you guys have registered for me to make the payment for you guys, okay. I'm gonna snip tool this part, and I'll post it in the WhatsApp group. Wah, so difficult to breathe. Okay, sekejap. Okay. Right. Okay. So make sure that you register like that, okay? Macam ni. Okay. Make sure you got your name right, because there's a certificate that could be useful for you. Okay, and make sure we are in the PS division, which is property surveying. Okay. So I think that's about that. Make sure you register by this week, okay? If possible, do it by today, so that we could get that done, and no last minute what do you call that, registration. Okay. Now, okay, so that's that. Okay, this is outside of BIE 3006, but I want to ask about BIE 3004. Do you have to buy all the rules and regulations and standards, etc., physically, or can you buy it online, or macam mana?
Can buy it online.
You can buy it online, but you'll get the physical book ke dia bagi e-book?
Physical book.
Really? So everybody bought the book already?
We
Doctor.
act ni not the standard.
Not the standard. Oh, yeah, Diba?
Tak, I just want to say yang ada bagi scan semua.
Oh, ya ke? Ada yang
Ah.
scan semua? We only bought the act dengan rules. Tapi yang scan tu yang mana?
Rules and guidelines. Sebab
Rules
Prof Wan cakap scan je lah.
je lah. Oh, share dengan I scan tu.
Okay.
Nanti I buat email I. You have my email kan? Email I sikit tengok apa benda yang korang ada. Because
Okay.
Thank you, Adiba. Because BIE3004, I'm not quite sure, like, you know, where do you get the books, etc. But I know Dr. Wan, Prof. Wan will ask you to buy it. Yeah, Pak Iman?
What doctor?
Oh, tak. Ingat kan you were saying something. Sorry.
Oh, no.
So, okay. So, AK said only bought X and rules and some of it are scanned. Okay. Nanti Adiba share dengan I, please. Thank you. Okay, because week 4 will be the last week of Prof 1. Tak last week. Okay, she's going to come back for the last 3 weeks of class. For BIE 3004, I'm going to come in week 5. And then I'm going to finish by week 11. So 12, 13, 14, Prof 1 will come back and help finish the whole class. Even though at that time, she will be officially retired. Okay? Anyways, okay, sorry, selingan for 3004. Now back to 0006. Okay, what else? Assignment. Okay, let's talk about assignment. Assignment. All right. So for this year, I know because we have to do it online, so it might be difficult to get vacant land or whatever land that you can get. But I hope in your group you could come to a consensus to get to choose a location that could give you that data. Okay, like for instance, if you're in Selangor, you can still go to Pejabat Tanah, you can still go to JPPH, etc. But of course, that they have their own SOP, and then you have to make appointments or those kind of things. So I hope you will get those kind of consensus. Okay, so with that being said, I hope this assignment would be feasible to do and viable to do, and you can do this. Okay, so basically your task is actually to prepare a development proposal and a financial appraisal report of a property development. It could be a redevelopment or it could be a refurbishment project. Okay, we will open to that spectrum. Okay, for a client has given a instruction, to identify greenfield or brownfield site. So it's either that you do something in the CBD, develop with a mixed commercial scheme of office and retail of not more than 10,000 square meters, or located within the outer fringe of town with industrial scheme containing not less than 50 units of light industrial premises and also incorporating a suitable number of shops, or located within or outside CBD to be redeveloped with a limited commercial scheme of office, retail, and of residential, and having a total GFA of not less than 10,000 square meters, or or not less than 50 units of residential components. I'm open to any one of this. Okay, if it's so difficult to fulfill this, you can come to me and propose a land that is almost near to this task, or okay. So because of the pandemic also, and because we're doing things online, I am not rigid in the sense. I'm pretty much flexible, but it has to be something of this size, okay, that fits a 10,000 square meters GFA of office and retail, etc., etc. Okay, so these are the syarat lah, criteria lah. Okay, and if you have your seniors project before this, because the question is quite similar, Cuma last year it's only on brown field. So this year I'm going to open to both fields. Okay. And yeah. So the report shall contain all this. You need to have the detailed process, description of characteristic of site. Okay. Planning consideration, details, market study, feasibility study, valuation, disposal arrangement. Okay, and it has to be prepared in English, and the valuation report has to be accordance to the MVS. Each group will present a preliminary progress report by week 7. Okay, in the course information, week 7 is the preliminary presentation or interim presentation, whereby you have to present where is the location, what is the ownership like, existing property condition, and its performance, market condition, etc. In addition, preliminary progress report should have all the information regarding the site. You need to have the site plan, etc., etc. Okay, and also planning requirement for planning permission. Okay. The submission of the final report is during the presentation. The submission is during the presentation. Oh my god. Okay. The submission of the final report is in week 11. Okay. Okay. The submission of the final report is in week 11 together with the site. Okay. This one, I'm just going to put it here, but you obviously might not have it, so don't worry about it. Okay. Failure to submit will cost you 20%. So now the presentation of report during week 7, you will have your interim, okay? And then you have about 10 to 15 minutes to present. And then during 13 to 14, you can present. So we have 9 groups. So we have to divide it into 2 weeks, okay? Because we'll be using our class time. If we could do it like in the whole day, everybody presents, or it's going to be a headache. No, I'm not going to do that. At least 2 days in a week or once a week, okay? Each group member is required to be involved in the presentation. There is an individual mark for your presentation. A soft copy of report must be submitted in week 11, and the final PowerPoint presentation, including any other, must be submitted in week 14. Even though you have presented in week 13, only on week 14 you will submit your media presentation. It's on Spectrum. Okay, so basically you need to elect a group. This is a norm. Elect a group, etc. And then each student is required to do your peer assessment. Okay, these are the marking scheme. So basically, this is your 10%. Okay, there's 60% of cost information, continuous assessment, and then there's a final report, 30%, and then your presentation will give you another 20%. So that's 60%. Okay. So this is what happens, with your assessment. Peer assessment marks, which I am expecting that everybody will give their all and everybody will work together, and I hope everybody gets 100%. Okay, because I don't want to see people not working in groups if possible. Okay, so yeah, so these are the groups that was given to me. So I just copy paste this from what my email has sent to me. Okay, so there's 9 groups with 1 group that has 5%. Okay, so I think the assignment is pretty much straightforward, right? Okay, so that's that. Stop presenting. Okay, now I have posted this on Spectrum, the assignment. But since I made a few edits, I have to change the assignment. Sekejap ya. Alah, internet sangat lambat lah pula. Sekejap. Let me do this for a while before I forgot. Okay. I think that's all good. What I wanted to tell you guys was the 1st April of conference, and then I wanted to know about BIE3004 because I'm coming in the next 2 weeks. And then assignment, okay, so it's on Spectrum. If you need the brief, it's there. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, and I'll explain to you at the end of the lecture on the tutorial for tomorrow. Okay. Wah, susahnya nak bernafas bila hidung sumbat. Okay. The slides for today is like short, so yay. Okay, short. We'll be talking about public policies today, as well as urban planning issues. So we've talked about such brief understanding on what is property development, and there were so many definitions of property development, right? And we also talked briefly on property development issues, but mainly focused on brownfield and greenfield. But obviously, there are more problems to this. And today we will be talking about how the government, the government helps to mediate or helps to solve whatever problems that property develops. So it's basically a political system of a nation whereby, they will come up with so many policies or dasa in bahasa. So this policy acts to help solve problems, help give a direction to certain things or certain issues or certain sectors. And specifically for property development, there is a lot of policies that is under the Ministry of Housing and Local Government. Okay, so the Ministry of Housing and Local Government has published a few policies, including the National Housing Policy, as well as national community policies, and there are other types of policies as well. Okay, it is related to government and also the governance. And in Malaysia, it's always from the federal level, which is federal government, which is the prime minister and everybody else. You have state government, which is the chief minister of all states, and then you have local government, which is at local level, and normally, a mayor, okay, or a governor, like in the US they call it the governor. I don't know, governor is like chief. Governor is like chief of that state, is it? Okay, anyways, so basically here in Malaysia there's 3 levels of government, and like the third bullet point, central government policies versus state government. And this has always been an issue because all lands belongs to state. So when the state government has that much power on their land, you as the federal government pretty much couldn't intervene in a sense. Okay, but there are ways, but to be frank, state government actually has the jurisdiction to decide what they want to do with their land, what is the direction of the city, what is the direction of the state. Okay, so there's always a problem how the federal government wants to trickle down the effect of federal public policies. Okay, it's always a problem, but it won't be a problem because remember it's a political system. It won't be a problem if the federal government and the state government are from the same political party. But it's going to be not a hassle. I mean, it's going to be a bit difficult when there are different party, okay, or the different party, and it's going to be even worse if they're like not friends. Okay, I mean, in Malaysia there's a few political parties, and right now some international newspaper would say there's political unrest in Malaysia because of the quite instability of politics, because we had a prime minister, then the prime minister stepped down, and then there's another prime minister that we're like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Okay, those kind of political situation in Malaysia. So yeah, so that's going to be a problem. Okay, so there is also a hierarchy and power of governance. By right, yeah, for sure, federal governments will have that power over state governments, but on certain issues, yeah. But according to land, land is state like responsibility and state owned. So the hierarchy is still big on the state rather than the federal government. But the federal government still has that responsibility to ensure every state, progress and everybody will achieve their urbanization and every single state will flourish, etc. Okay, like for instance, in like the state of Sarawak. Okay, well, Sarawak has been fighting for many years that they feel that Petronas has been taking a lot of oil from them. Petronas is the petroleum company, okay, and but then Sarawak feels like they have this oil, and why are they not rich? Because federal government takes everything. So right now they are actually changing their political system, and they want to own those oils so that their state is wealthy. So so you have like this commotion, okay, in terms of governance. And that's just Malaysia. I mean, different country has different ways. Like China will have a different way. Like the United States will have a different way. Brunei has a different system, etc., etc. Okay, and public policies usually highlights the vision of the government. What does the government wants to see? When we had Tun Mahathir Mohamad again as the prime minister, his vision was always looking to the east. So his vision is always, being friends with Japan, and they had very good relationship. So yeah, so due to that vision, you can see a lot of like Japanese influence in Malaysia. But now because he's no longer the prime minister, you see less of it. So and whatever he feels or the leader feels or the governance feel, translated in terms of public policies as well. Okay, so there are many policies related to property development, and most of it talks about property ownership, like who owns the property, and construction companies are involved in it, also laborers, experts, fundings, and also people's participation. Why people's participation? Because remember, under the TCPA, the Town and Country Planning Act, public participation is important in terms of development. Okay, so they have many policies on all this. So in terms of property ownership, the issues that we see is in terms of local people of that state, how the what do you call that? How the people of the state feels like you're giving ownership to the land to someone else. Okay, let's use Forest City as an example. Forest City was such a big issue here in Malaysia because many people felt that the Sultan of Johor sold a piece of Johor's land to China. And but the Sultan of Johor said, no, I didn't sell the land of Johor. He actually reclaimed more land and sold it to China for Forest City development. So those issues in terms of ownership, comes into view. And because states are land owned, states own the land. So federal government would have some issues. Who would have some issues will have a bit of a trouble in the sense. Okay, so second is local people of the nation. So obviously like the whole people, the whole country. Others are like whatever international problems, household income policies. This one is like in terms of low cost housing. Okay, low cost housing in Malaysia is very much based on household income criteria. You need to be at a certain criteria, you need to be in a certain age, etc., in order for you to buy or rent rent in that low cost housing. Satu minute, satu saat. Okay, and also rental policies. So there is no rental act in Malaysia for now. And to be honest, there's not many rental policies, if not none. Okay, so there are other problems as well. And why rental is highlighted here is that ownership is towards one person or a few person. But when you rent, you would have some problems in terms of belonging to the house, etc. So, property ownership. Okay. So labor is company and technology, whereby the government gives a lot of incentives. Okay. Um, and remember we talked about like different concepts of town planning, concepts like the garden city or neighborhood unit, etc. So whatever concept that the city has in terms of development of the city, policies and incentives also drives to that particular concept that you have for a city. For example, like if you have this idea that everybody should have their own cars, their own personal transportation, and not focus on public transportation, then it's going to be influence in a sense to that development. And I remembered specifically, this is quite recent also, right? Where the prime minister at that time, former prime minister Mahathir, wanted to have like another national car because Proton was sold to a Chinese company, and he wanted to have another national car, but everybody turned it down and said, no, 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 we want to use public transportation. So, so those are part of the government policies and incentives as well. So construction company, normally has those ownership, whether they have shares in the company or they have pay up capital or working experience, etc. Development concept and construction methods, which is like the highlight of construction these days. We want to use as many technology there is in construction so that you could have less cost, more efficient, or let's not say less cost, efficient cost. Okay, the cost will be more efficient, and you can finish it earlier. So there's many technology as well in terms of construction. So technology obviously has influenced us within this year of pandemic. We've been using too many technology, and if there's no technology, we might be a mundane society because we don't know what's happening, etc. Right? So those kind of policies also would have that influence towards the property development. And we can see there's many property developers also now integrate smart housing in their product. So if they build like a apartment, they will sell it, I don't know, for 380,000, for instance, for a 900 square feet apartment, but they sell off this smart housing system. Like the passcode thing, go into the house, you can control your aircon from your phones, like before you go home, you're like, oh, it's so hot. Today I'm just gonna on the aircon now. Once I come home, it's going to be all cool. So smart housing things, etc. Experts and laborers are also a requirement, especially in terms of construction, right? There are very few Malaysian laborers, I would say. And it's also quite unfortunate that I think it was Suka, is it Suka? Is that how you pronounce it? Suka. The Sungai Besi, Ulu. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I don't know if you've read in the news. There was like an incident where the crane fell, and then three, I think it was Chinese nationals, who were on the site, passed away, unfortunately, because they fell almost 40 meters down. So, in property development, it's all that, but good thing for us, we are not involved in construction safety, so we're good. Okay, now let's talk about fundings. If the government, the country, to have more housing, more properties, then they will give more funding. For instance, like during the former Prime Minister Najib Razak, he wanted to see more affordable housing because that was the issue back then. So he established this Prima, the Perumahan Rakyat Satu Malaysia, which we still have today. And then he pumped in, I would say he, because he was the Minister of Finance and he's the Prime Minister then, he will pump in about 1 billion ringgit Malaysia of taxpayers' money every single year so that Prima would build more affordable housing. But yeah, so that's where the funds come from. So obviously there are issues as well, because I mean Prima is not even a developer, okay? And you're wondering, like, you have big developers like SP Setia and all that who has like built 80,000 houses, but you're giving Prima, who's not even a developer, 1 billion ringgit every single year to build 300,000 houses every year. So yeah, that could pose a problem as well. And we are seeing the problem now, right? There's an overhang of affordable housing in the market, and they had to use this. They had to strategize and give the HOC, which is the home ownership campaign, and gives you like duty stamp free, stamp duty free, etc. And you imagine like this kind of houses are like 1.2 million, but you get free stamp duty. So that's how far the government will go in order to sell off all this property that was built but it was not sold. Okay, so one is government funding, and then there's also some local, private, or consortium or financial institution who would provide the funding. There are also a problem of offshore funding, and also issues of bond share, debenture, etc. So a clear policy is normally made by the central bank. So obviously there are loans that the banks can give out, and banks consider out loans as products, right? Like packages. And Bank Negara, which is the central bank in Malaysia, will regulate them, okay, and monitor them. And that's the point of having a central bank. So public participation is super important in Malaysia. And we've had this opportunity to meet this Norwegian student once. And then he said in Norway, it's very difficult to get people to participate, okay, in all these things. Oh, and it's similar to Malaysia, because Malaysia also has trouble with participating in all this. And they have done creative way, okay? Like the local planning authority has done many, many creative way to get people to participate, including I think I just saw one in Gurney, Penang, where they put the plants on the beach, okay, to make people participate. So if you go to the beach, then you will see all these plants, so the public will participate. So yeah, it needs tons of creativity, okay. So anyways, policies on people's involvement in planning is pretty much enacted in the act. So you have to do it at local level, province level, or central level. Process and procedure. So it's like turning this picturesque view like place into, now you see many blocks of houses. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about planning issues in two parts. So the first part is we'll talk about a structured plan. Okay. So basically, a structured plan or a master plan is a written statement, charts, and graph, and that's about it. Whatever you see in that plan is actually written statements like, oh, this is good for this area. It should be all residential because blah 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 blah. Okay, and they have charts and they also have graphs. So environmental and green area policies is highlighted always when it comes to property development. Also, it should be if it's not. Okay, employment and education policies are also looked into. Okay, it's not just about planning a land or developing a land, it's about all these other factors that could affect or could what's that word, it could influence or have an impact, etc. So it's like employment and education, because obviously you need people who work there or have schools there, etc. Accessibility and connectivity is also important. This is in terms of transportation, right? Public amenities, super important, as well as some branding and niche concept. And this is what developers are selling: branding and niche concept. Okay, like Eco World is selling this resort-like housing. Okay, like in the Eco Meadows in Simpang Empat, Eco Gardens in Setia Alam. Of you? Oh, to group Chua yang pergi dengan Diba perhaps, who went to Eco Gardens and all those eco, okay? So branding and niche concept. So local plans are detailed plans with land uses, and it would include density and plot ratio. You have done this in your first year. Remember, you had to go through local plans and understand all these things. Yep, you'll be needing all those again. So the second planning issues, the second part will be in terms of the scenario of the city itself. Okay. So one issues will be in terms of all this. You have to look into what is, in the structure plan, you have to include all this, and then you have to look at the city itself right now. So is there unemployment rate? What is the unemployment rate? What is the high crime rates, etc. And that is important for each city. I remembered in Malacca, they had like a billboard where they will report all this to the citizen of Malacca. And it's important that people know about all this. Like, what is the unemployment rate? How many crime rates do I have in the city? Those kind of thing. Ghettos and urban decay. Oh, ghettos, eh? Okay. Do we have ghettos in Malaysia? We do. Okay, like in Selayang, Bandar Baru Selayang. I don't know if you guys are from Selayang, but they have like a ghetto street, which is like every single time when they heard something like a gunshot. By the way, guns are illegal in Malaysia. They will like definitely hide and be scared. Okay, so yeah, you can not own firearms. You cannot own firearms in Malaysia, which I think is a super smart rule, because you see in the US they had the seventh shooting happening in the US in the past week. So that's like 7 days and their seventh shooting. Crazy, right? Hey, anyways, traffic congestion and inefficient of public transport. These are like super main issues, right? You don't have to look far. You look into University in Malaya. So many cars parking, like double parking, right? Like, where do these people come from? And there's no students also. So traffic congestion and inefficient of public transport. So the lack of open space and urban amenities. Why is open space so important? Because we need zen. Okay, we need work-life balance. We need to see some trees. We don't want to see any dreary streets. We want calm and peace. Okay, dying rivers and lakes should be revived, but it's a problem, obviously. Um, and if you have like a dirty dying river, that's like even worse. And speaking of which, like you have all these rivers and you have all this bridge. Um, you are it will be an issue closely related to number 6 and 7. One is pollution, because you'll see a lot of trash, okay, in the lake, which I think Malaysians are working towards, not throwing trash in the street. And I hope I don't caught you guys throwing out of your car window all this trash. Okay, don't do that. Some people will just roll their window and just throw the trash out, which I don't understand. I mean, this is not a dustbin, okay? And that it contributed in terms of pollution and homeless as well. My brother went to this like organization called Street Frienders or something, and he said like there was this TNB pipe, like it was very big. So there was some space, it was hollow, and there were like people living in there, which are homeless. And I'll share this with you guys. And then I asked him like, why is people living there? And he said because they're afraid of like DBKL or the local authority, whoever who will caught them. So they will hide, and that's like one place to hide and live. And once they're caught, they could actually be tried in court, because under the Destitute Act, you are a destitute person, means you're not working, you're homeless, etc., which is like a crime in Malaysia. Did you know that? It's a crime to be homeless in Malaysia, okay? So when you're tried in front of the court, the judge could send you to the like this homeless place where it's like literally prison, because you cannot get out of the place, okay, that center. You pretty much do nothing, and they barricade like the whole center, okay. You imagine like a day one, like a hall, and then they have like the small pots that they live. It's like the small tent where you have flood victims and they were at school, and they have like this pot thing, okay, and they're like given like this stretcher like bed, stretcher like, okay, so it's like not mattresses, it's like literally like a stretches like bed. And they get food, like, oh, food is fantastic, okay, we're good at that, good. But they cannot get out of that center, and they can stay there up to 3 years because the judge can just say, they cannot go out. So it's interesting to see, this homeless problems, okay, that how Malaysians are trying to solve is also quite terrible. And we follow UK's way of dealing with homeless. So yeah, you know that you are considered a destitute person if you're homeless in Malaysia, which is a crime. Anyways, we are also heading towards aging population where we have more older people. And obviously we have to, find, no, we have to develop towards this notion as well. Like you have aging countries like Switzerland. Switzerland has aging countries. If you go to Switzerland, you see a lot of old people. And then like in Japan, okay, they also are aging population, so you see a lot of old people in there as well. And these are considered urban planning issues because you have to develop towards that notion, like I said. And that's about it. Oh, sekejap, sorry. Anyways, that's about it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I've actually posted the what do you call that? The tutorial actually on Spectrum, and betul kan? Suki has lots of accidents. So scary. Anyways, what do you call that? I posted the national community policy, okay, on Spectrum, and this is for tomorrow. Actually, it's not for today. And I've opened up like a quiz, which it will open tomorrow at 2 p.m., where you will, talk about this national community policy, and you can read it beforehand. It's fine. Because the question that I would like you to write on is how would this national community policy help mediate community problems? And the idea of the national community policy came because there is a lack of community development in Malaysia. Okay, so that's why there's a national community policy. And obviously, like I said, policies are there to give you directions, but do the developers listen to this policy? That's another issue. Okay, so I think that's about it for today. Oh, it's almost 12:30. About another half an hour to go. I'll also leave you guys to discuss with your group mates for your project, for your assignment. Okay. So is there any questions before I close the class for today? No, I gather there's no question. I'm gonna stop recording now. Okay. So remember, I'm gonna leave you guys so you guys go discuss with your group mates on the assignment. And also for tomorrow's tutorial, I posted it also on Spectrum, but at 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. I'll open like a quiz that you guys have to write and answer of not more than 1,000 words. Okay. I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me. I apologize for the.
Doctor,
Oh, yes, saya.
I want to ask for the assignment. All need to be mixed development lah.
It depends. Actually, you're right lah. Most are mixed development. Yeah, correct. Jong is correct. It's actually towards mixed development. We want to see mixed development in your assignment.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. So, if there's no more question, if you have any after I've closed this class, you can just WhatsApp in the group. I'll try to answer as soon as possible. Again, my apologies for today's class. We started a bit late. And don't forget to register for the conference, okay? Okay? It's for everyone in 3rd year and above. Okay? So, yeah.
Doctor, I got one question about the registration of the conference.
Okay.
So I need to fill in the first name and the last name, but the problem is that last name means surname, and in Chinese, our surname is the first, like my name Li Minyao, so my surname will be Li. So how I should fill the form actually?
Oh. We'll still do the Minyao Li, but yeah, normally we'll still do that. Your surname will be your last name. So it's the same, like for instance, like Fazliana name will be first name, and then the father's name will be the last name. So I think you'll be the same concept for Chinese names as well. So like Li Mingyao, so your first name is considered Mingyao, and then your surname will be the family name.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Okay, so
Doctor,
yes, Aya.
for the land, can we be the adjoining land, meaning that we have a lot of land title?
Yeah, it can. Yep, no problem. But you have to make sure to explain the amalgamation or subdivision, etc., and the requirement and process as well. You don't have to subdivide the land or amalgamate the land, but you have to explain the process of it. Okay?
All right, thank you, doctor.
So doctor, the land can be new, like greenfield or brownfield, like used before, both can, right?
Yes, both can.
Okay. So if we use the brownfield one, so we need to write out all the clearance, procedure, all this.
Yes, correct. So you have to include all that. Correct.
So greenfield better lah.
Greenfield easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
All right. Okay. So I think that's all. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, New. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, doctor. Get well soon.
Thank you. So I'll see you guys next week on Wednesday. All right. Bye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.